Hey, the better rifle. Drop the gun! Oh, shit! I'm hit. I'm okay. But I'm not gonna die.
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
We'll do it live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to Badges, Bullets, and Blunders, the show that tells funny cop stories from the real people who live them. I'm your host, Travis Harless. Today we're joined by my good friend, Keith Cason. Keith, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? How long you've been a police officer? What did you do before you were a cop? And what are some of the assignments you've worked as a cop?
Oh, so I've worked as a police officer for 16 years now. Before this, I was a certified forklift operator, very proud of that. And I worked at Winco for a little bit.
Okay.
Did a stint there. That was awesome. I was the bread, wine, and liquor specialist. So I dabbled in dairy a little as well.
Okay.
And then I went and did some seasonal firefighting stuff, getting to hike the mountains and do that fun stuff. And then the police department called at 21. So been rocking it ever since.
Nice. All right. So 16 years. What kind of assignments have you worked in those 16 years?
I've kind of done a little bit of everything. So started off on patrol, obviously, and did a short stint in traffic. Did undercover stuff for quite a while. It was pretty fun getting to do different narcotics units, and then rolled into the apprehension team, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then from there, took off to sex crimes, homicide, internal affairs, and
The big three.
got them all. Yeah. I was the last detective to go into internal affairs. So
Those were the days.
those were the days. Yeah. So then now I've been on patrol for last 3.5 years or
Now
so.
you're supervisor in the patrol division.
Yeah. So cruising around at night.
You forgot about SWAT.
Yeah, I did that. That was a pretty good one, which will spin into a lot of our stories. But I was just kind of trying to go around down the list on it. So,
Operator or sniper.
Yeah, I did as an operator, and then some breaching for a while. That was a lot of fun. We didn't have like a huge breaching program.
Yeah.
So
It's like the guy with the hammer.
yeah. Breacher up, stupid. And so we kind of started that a little bit more. Alan and I went to some cool schools and learned some different stuff. And then got in the sniper game for a little bit, and now I'm just a has-been.
All right. Good. Talk to us a little bit about your time as a sex crimes detective. You had a pretty funny little case. Well, I shouldn't say funny, but part of it was funny.
Yeah, part of it definitely has humor. So we had this assault case, and the officer comes in to give detectives a briefing on it.
So the officer takes the initial, gets the call, goes out, takes the initial
Yeah,
part of the
and
investigation, and
and then they decide it warrants us,
yeah.
following up on it. So as he's describing this case, he's given us a suspect description, and then I see him start to pull open a notepad, right? And he starts talking about his illustration of the man's penis,
Yeah.
and starts breaking it down. And I mean, it was a triumphant drawing. It had base description, all the way up to like the cock ring from the circumcision.
Okay.
And really good detail on the pubes, right? And so, and it was a great way. It wasn't just the typical dots, like how whenever we bless someone with a cock
Like
picture
what
on,
you would do on someone's notebook.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't just anything like that, and just really good detail. And he talked about how it was to size.
It took him 3 hours to get the shading right on the head.
Yes. Yeah. And so he was like, hey, do you want me to book this into evidence? And I was like, no, we'll handle that. So we got to have this very accurate, detailed cock behind me on my pegboard.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you guys make a cock photo lineup?
Yeah. So you definitely should, right? You never know. Not all cocks are alike.
Yeah.
So we had this deal on the pegboard, and you think it would gain a lot more traction, but in an office that is like as terrible as that,
Yeah.
people just walk by and be like, "Hey, nice cock," and you're like, "Yeah, right on, thank you." But the pride in this dick pic was it was one of my favorite memories of that, because it was a lot of effort.
He took a
into
lot
that.
of time to really let you know
A
what
lot of
that thing
time
looked
in
like.
great detail. In great detail.
Well, hopefully you guys caught him. Suspect. All right. Talk to us about you did a stint working in the property room. How did that come about?
Yeah, so back when the department utilized all these like extra garages just store property, and apparently property keeps coming in, but if you don't do anything with it, it just builds up, right? So this whole thing happens where they get these big roll-off dumpsters, and
But wait, why were you working in the property room though?
well, back then, it was all the rejects of patrol, I
Okay.
guess you would say. Uh, Maybe not rejects, I don't know. But they took one from each shift, basically, and they put us in there. So this crew was pretty funny and of all different dynamics. But as we're breaking down these just mass amounts of boxes and property, we start finding, every dream item you would want. And we'd been told that the command staff, this was a certain member's very special project, right? Like they were going to clean up that department. So we were out there and found a mass amounts of ninja stars and nunchucks and swords and blow darts.
So it's your 12-year-old's fantasy.
Yeah, so we were definitely raw dogging the blow darts at all times too. Now that I remember that, I'm like, that's kind of gross, right? No telling where
Yeah,
this
you don't
blow
know.
dart
You're
had
putting your
been.
mouth in that blow gun. You're not sure. Where it came
Yeah, man. When you're just messing around, some weird stuff happens. So I don't know why I did that, but quite a bit younger, right?
from. Yeah.
So one day, we didn't know this, but our sergeant had been up talking to members of the command staff and was saying, "Hey, you should really see the progress these guys are doing." So,
But he didn't warn you that she'd become a bike.
no. So as we were breaking down property, obviously every dildo or sex toy we found had to be exploited, right? And who could get the better fake cock running around and whatnot. So our MDTs have a handle that comes out.
On the computer.
Yeah. So laptop computer, and we had found this really, really great cock. I mean, it was a good one, right? And it had the suction cup on the back. So we suction cupped it to the table and then took the sergeant's computer handle and slid it over the cock, right? And so we had
To
this
keep it secure so it wouldn't fall off.
yeah. You got to maintain it. So we got this fake weenie sticking out of the computer, and here they come walking in as we are throwing ninja stars
Yeah.
and swinging nunchucks and
Playing
just
with blowguns.
just being really responsible, right?
But your supervisor didn't let you know that he was bringing the captain by.
No. He
This
just
is 100% his fault.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
He deserved whatever happened next.
But as she comes in and we're playing this music, and having our little dojo sesh,
Yeah.
it's like,
Doing
wow.
karate in the garage.
Yeah. So, wow, I see you guys are really being productive, which was the whole point of coming down there to see the progress we had made.
Yeah.
But all we were doing was kung fu, and then they walk over to the computer, and it's like, they look down, we're like, shit, forgot about that one, But that was always fun to highlight your more mature and responsible side
Yeah.
to the members of the department.
At least the property room got cleaned out.
Yeah.
Oh, tell us about our mutual friend was involved in a shooting when you and I were both pretty new, and he was shot during a robbery.
Yeah.
And you got there. You were the first one there on the scene.
Yeah, so I was on the other side of the parking lot, trying to set up a perimeter right as we pull up. Bang, 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 you hear shots happen.
So wait, what happened in the initial though? So the call goes out for like a
Yeah,
robbery in progress or something
I think it was suspicious subjects wearing masks armed with firearms.
at a
like, going into the
7-Eleven.
deal.
Yeah, that's an indicator.
Yeah, so our buddy Isaac was one of the first ones there with his partner. Catches them coming out type deal, like, that every scenario you think as a cop
Yeah.
you're going to pull up on, but never do.
But never happens.
It
actually happened.
It actually happened. So he gets shot once, and I round the corner, and obviously, I mean, it's just happened, and he's still wound up, and pretty calm though, scary calm.
Mm-hmm.
And I get up to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm hit," and I'm feeling his leg. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Dude, my hands aren't wet. Like, I got no blood, nothing." He goes, "It's high,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh man!" So I didn't have scissors, right?
He's hitting the leg, but he's telling you it's high in the leg.
High, yeah. So I didn't have scissors, so I get my pocket knife out, and luckily I didn't, stab his leg. But
Make it worse.
yeah, I get these pants off, and I'm looking I still don't see anything at all. So he's like, "Dude, it's up there." So I end up being like, "Well, sorry, bud," and just grab his chones, man. We get him down, and all I could see was this hole next to his nut, and like on the side. And then from the bottom of his butt cheek, like the little crease, there was one drop of blood coming out of the exit hole. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Dude, you are totally good. Like, you're going to be okay, right?"
You're a doctor.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't a lot of blood. And
This is my medical diagnosis.
yeah, there wasn't a lot of blood. And all I just see is this large scrotum sitting there. And I
Yeah.
was like, "I think we're going to be all right, man. Like, I'm all down for some gay chicken, but,
whatever.
not on camera." So, anyhow. I had a female partner at the time, and she comes running up, and I was like, "Hey, he's good, and she's like, "Out of my way," and just scoots them deals to the side and applies direct pressure, and Isaac's eyes got big, but it was one of those times, right? Like, do you suck the venom out, or is your friend gonna die right there in front of you?
I wasn't bit by a snake.
But
This is for your own good.
yeah, man, so... I didn't get to give Isaac a handy at that time, but regrets you have to live with every day,
That's funny. All right. Oh man, I remember this. I was here for this one when we were on a SWAT call out for. It was supposed to be a burglary in progress at a gun store.
Yeah.
Turns out nobody was there, but that doesn't matter for the story. We thought there was armed guys inside of this store.
All the
we
guns.
had all barricaded, 3 armed suspects barricaded in the gun store, and we had perimeter
Actively
on it.
loading up.
Yeah, and you and I were on the backside, on the 3 side of this business, and there was some lights that were illuminating our position.
Yep. Yeah, so I was tasked with letting us go dark, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
To conceal us,
to conceal us,
so
right?
they wouldn't know that we were back there.
So these are like the big, I'm told, 220 security lights. I'm no electrician, but we're looking at them, and the first one I come up to had this like LED panel on it, right? And the plastic cover. So I crawl up on my metal ladder, and
Yeah. So we take a metal ladder against the wall,
yep,
and it's on the back.
metal
it's
ladder
mounted to
against
the
a
wall- to the
metal building
Yeah.
with a metal tool.
Okay.
So just a little build up for it.
Yeah.
And
A metal, how again? A huli.
Yeah.
A huli.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I look at this first one, and I take the spike on the huli, and I'm like pounding away at the front panel. And, it's just like little fibers. So you getting no traction. I'm like, I need to hurry this up. Not very stealthy as you're banging on something,
Yeah.
So I end up taking the claws and sticking it behind. And I go to try to pry it off the wall. Well, there's a cord exposed back there, and it touches that metal tool and gives me a little pop. And I'm like, hey, that isn't cool, right? So fish around it, I finally get it off. But I'm like, dang, that sucked. I got zapped a little.
Yeah.
So then I go to the next one.
Is that the one where you launched the huli out of your hand, or was it?
No, that's coming up on this.
Oh,
one.
got you.
The first one just bit me a little.
You got
right?
the zap, and I remember you saying something about getting electrocuted.
Yeah,
I thought,
but
yeah,
I didn't realize
That
at
makes
the
sense.
time it was just a little taste, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was there was more to come.
it was like you only had one probe, there wasn't a good connection.
Correct. Yeah. I wasn't getting all the watts. So we go to the next one, and I'm like, man, that kind of sucked, right?
Yeah.
Get the ladder up. Well, I crawl up, and I look at this one. Little different building, so different time frame of security light. Well, this one has this big, legit halogen glass bulb in it. And I was like, oh, this is super cool. Not that lame-ass panel that I couldn't break out. And it had a glass front. So in all my wisdom, I take that spike, and I'm like, oh, this will be easy. And I plant my knee into the ladder and reach
Yeah,
over.
for traction.
Bam!
Yeah.
I just drive that spike into that light bulb. Well, what I didn't know is that's how I got electrocuted and or shocked. Excuse me,
Shocked. Yeah.
shocked. Yeah. So that thing lit me up, pulled me in for like 6, 7 seconds,
Yeah.
and scariest time of my life because I've never not like really been in control of my body, and I had no control.
Yeah.
Right. It was frightening.
You give the control over to the floodlight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this thing just lit me up like a Christmas tree. And I remember there was an officer named Logan underneath. And of course, he has on no helmet or nothing. You know how that works.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we have a SWAT situation over here. So you're going to have the SWAT guys up front looking cool, but then we're just going to use patrol to do whatever we need.
Yeah.
So he was my ladder guy for the day. And I remember thinking, like, hey, this sucks. I'm going to get shocked. And then I'm going to be able to let go of this Halligan, and it's going to fall from 20 feet up and like drive a spike through his head.
Yeah.
So I end up like during this time thinking that, and I was like, dude, you got to move. You got to move. And finally he moves out of the way and I'm able to let go of the Halligan. But it was a freaky deal. So after that, the sergeant at the time walks up and he's like, hey man, like, are you all right? And I wasn't all right, like at all. But I was like, yeah, I got to finish this out. So then I ended up loading up a bunch of 40s and going around, and I spent probably $500 in 40s the rest of the time shooting them out.
Yeah, that's a better method.
Yeah, giving my best approach, but
I was a little curious when I saw it because I saw you zap yourself on the first one, and then you moved the ladder over and you climbed up for the second one, and I thought, he's not gonna hit that. He's not gonna do it again.
Oh yeah,
wham!
Right there.
Oh,
full speed,
dedicated,
full send. Yeah,
we had to we had to be concealed.
Yeah, it wasn't one of my best decisions in life, but ever since then I won't even change a light plug. So
Nice.
I guess I'm pretty safe with electricity now.
Don't want to get shocked.
No.
All right. Talk to us about wild roping a llama.
So it was way back. I mean, it was probably like 2010, and it was a winter night, and we kept getting reports of this llama just terrorizing the southwest of town, right? And
Which is a residential area.
yeah, so
Not like ranch property.
No. So it's like, when you get to the older parts of a neighborhood, and every once in a while there'll be that one house that has the big property, and they're the ones with all the animals.
Yeah.
So this llama made its grand escape from
Okay.
said property that was somewhat in the area. And it was just running around, terrorizing town, causing accidents. People would hit the llama a couple times. She still moved pretty good, though.
Yeah.
So we end up finding this llama and corner it into a park. And I'm watching one of my partners run around trying to tase the llama in dart mode.
Okay.
Which was an interesting concept. I don't know that a taser would work on a llama,
Yeah.
but it was interesting to see. But anyways,
Or
obviously,
what your end goal is once you get the darts in it.
yeah.
Okay.
I guess apprehend the llama.
Yeah.
I don't know. So we go around and start looking at some of these houses, and I'm able to commandeer a rope.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the Crown Vics with the big windows, right? So my sergeant picks me up, and I was like, hey, like, we're going to do like a rodeo. Drive me next to the llama,
Okay.
and I'm going to rope it, right? So you got people in different police cars trying to narrow the path for this llama. And I'm trying to rope it out like that. I just can't get it. And I mean, we're like balls deep in this call, right?
Yeah.
It's all of the west side of our town is there.
Yeah.
And so we're chasing around this llama. And finally, I'm like, you know what? Let me get on the front of the car. And like, we're just going head on with this llama.
Yeah.
So I get on the front of the car and I get into the light bar or the push bumper, and I'm able to successfully rope the llama. And we had a partner at the time that she runs up to tie off its legs, and llamas have the Hawk Tua function, right?
Yeah.
The spitting out all the stuff.
Yeah.
And it's smelly as can be. So she gets down to tie off its feet, and the llama just pow.
Yeah. It just gave her that hawk to her.
Just hit her with it, right? Just hit her with it. And it was all over her. And so the rest of the night, we had to drive around with the dirty llama smell. But
Oh, she was your partner.
yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, from the direct pressure on Isaac Nuts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same one. Yeah, that was that's good. I didn't even think about that. We're going back to back on that. Some of my favorite memories. So if you're listening, Howdy. But anyhow, so we get this llama down. The llama's tied, and we're like, huh, we tied its legs. Like, now how do we get it back?
Yeah. And where are you going to take the llama?
So we had found the property that the llama had made its grand escape from. So we end up being like, okay, we're going to back up the entire way because I tied it off to the push bumper. So we're like, we're going to back up and basically walk the llama back to its house. Well, the llama was like, fuck that decision. I don't want to do any of that noise. And
Yeah, you just got out of there.
yeah, so the llama just lays down and goes tits up right there and will not move. So we're like, just keep backing up. It's a car. It'll beat the llama.
Yeah.
Well, then it would just choke the llama. So we're like, no, now we're going to kill the llama. Like, llama wouldn't give. Like, llamas give no F. So we end up going and commandeering a forklift from somebody, and we put a pallet on it, and then we had to roll the llama on the pallet. So we're driving with the patrol car next to the forklift with the lasso still on the llama, so that way we can get it home. And altogether, I think it was like 3.5 hours we invested into this llama. And so the COB made a good penny on that one, you know? And anyhow, we ended up naming her Tina the Llama.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Get her some casserole.
yeah, absolutely.
Come eat your dinner, you fat lard.
So we end up, the comm center bought us all little stuffed llamas for Christmas and stuff. But Tina was our official mascot, Shift 1 mascot.
Yeah, you could have went back to the property and just feed her some casserole.
Yeah, absolutely. We did go check on her from time to time. Hit her with a spotlight or two.
Nice. Right on. There was a call. I don't know if it turned into a full call out or not, but we had a guy that ran a little pursuit. He was armed with some like a rifle and some handguns, and he had body armor. I remember this deal, and he ends up bailing from the car, and he's hiding in some bushes when you guys find him. And could tell us the backstory on that. What happened there? And
Yeah, so
that turned into quite the lengthy call out.
it was. I think eventually, I don't think we did a full call out. There was just enough people working, and VCAT or our apprehension team was nearby anyhow on it. So ended up having a lot of people, and then we brought out some other resources. And so we end up getting our Bearcat, our armored vehicle there. And I'm sitting up in the turret and like having a downward conversation with this guy. And there's a bunch of people out there.
And he's hiding in the bushes.
Yeah, he's hiding in the bushes, and he's got a gun, and he's just making all sorts of threats towards us, you know, whatever. And we're giggling. Well, he was apparently upset because his best friend was hosing his old lady, and he just couldn't take it anymore. So he's sitting there and he's yelling at us like, hey, you're making me angry. And we're like, dude, don't care. Like, stop it. Just give up. This is dumb. So it starts raining.
Yeah.
So as you could imagine, then our spirits change a little.
Yeah.
And
so it's cold. It's raining.
Yeah, all that.
6 hours later.
Yeah.
We're still talking to the same guy.
Talking to this crazy guy in the bushes.
In the bush.
And then his entire time he's trying to intimidate us. And we're like, dude, it's obviously your game, but it doesn't work with us, right? And he's like, man, you're making me mad. And we're like, well, you're not going to turn green. It's okay, bud. Just come out. So it gets into it. And he's like, man, you know, my old lady, she fucked my best friend. And we're like, dude, do you realize the company you're in? Like, everybody has had that happen here. You're talking to a bunch of cops, right? I'm like, dude, I live with my mom right now, right? And I mean, I am residentially challenged right now, but that's not, you know, part of it. So, yeah, man. So he ends up going through it, and, you know, he ends up eventually giving up after we sit there and talk enough shit to him for 8 hours. But peaceful ending, all was well.
It's called de-escalation.
Yeah, de-escalation. But apparently, if you're looking for sympathy about your old lady running out on you, don't go to a bunch of cops.
Not the right crowd for that.
Not the right crowd. I mean, we had some three-peaters back there, right? It was a good one, you know. So yeah, wrong crowd. Got to know your crowd, you know. You know, that and the skid pan at the fairs was always a fun thing too. Did you ever do that?
I mean, the statute of limitations doesn't really run out, so.
Yeah, man. So that was a That was a really, really cool deal. My old partner who had to depart us from his time in narcotics was like, "Hey, you want to go do the skid pan?" I was like, "What's the skid pan?" Like, I'd never heard of it, and it was a rainy night in our town. So, at the fairgrounds, they had this big dirt open parking lot that's all mixed with oil.
Yeah.
And you could, man, you hit that deal 20 miles an hour, like you would go into a spin, and that was always really fun.
Oil and fresh water, yeah, I bet.
Not the better spin. Sang put me in the better spin I've ever been in.
On
That's when
purpose?
no, so you know how people from Los Angeles have never seen a coyote?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we were working the valley, so we're deep out there, and we get this call of a vehicle that had just crashed on fire, people pinned in, all the scariest stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we're on this one long country road in the town, and anyhow, we're cooking. I mean, we're probably 120, you know, and this coyote runs across the road, and it's almost like it was in slow motion,
Yeah.
right? It comes across the road. He swerves to the shoulder to try to avoid it. Well, when you're hooked up like that, you know, you hit dirt, bad news,
Yeah.
tries to bring it back, and we go into a spin. And you could feel the car rocking, and I'm like, oh my God. I reach up, I grab the spotlight and actually pull it off. And I just remember those yellow lines looking solid, right? And so we end up spinning, and magically come to rest on top of a canal between two power poles. Right? So it was like one of those, we would have wrapped around a power pole and
Thread
both
the
been-
needle.
Oh, we would have been smoked. So the car lights are flashing, everything's wrong, the engine won't turn on, and he's over there like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Fuck no, I'm not okay, dude." Like, it's one of the scariest events of my life, dude. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Am I okay? So he's like, gets it started. We go to the crash. Luckily, the crash didn't end up being what it was, but man, like we almost died, and I just wasn't okay with it, right? I couldn't process this for a little bit.
Yeah.
So like 2 hours go by, and my nerves are finally starting to come down. And then this dude all of a sudden breaks down, and he's like, "I almost killed you." And I'm like, "Bitch, now you tell me?" Like, I was trying to tell you this earlier. Like, very frightening, but
Yeah.
that was probably the better spin
A
story.
little delayed reaction.
Yeah, for sure. I never understood that, right? I had already went through my process, right? I'd already had to take my nervous dump. Everything was good. Like, so
It's part of his culture.
I guess. I don't know.
All right.
That one still got me.
Well, Keith, thank you for coming out and talking to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for sharing the stories with us. And thank you to everybody for listening, and stay frosty.
I hope the camera didn't add the 10 pounds. We'll see if I can be okay.